Welcome home. We are WNST, AM 1570, Tassel, Baltimore. We are Baltimore Positive. We are positively at Koco's. I had to get the fourth microphone out because Marcia's like walking around with little Zeke's coffee thing and stalking me, and she wants to look at all the fun things that Ricig has drawn. And from the minute I walk in here today, first thing I see is like Santa and ho-hos and candy canes, and I'm thinking like, I think it's okay to say Happy Holidays. It's okay to say Merry Christmas. It's okay to do all that stuff.
For 3 months.
December, it's after Thanksgiving. Yes.
Ricig, have you done your Christmas card yet?
I just sent it in today, so you were right on it. I just did my family one and sent it into the printer today, so I'm running a little late.
Is there anything cooler than him having twins to draw after all these years, you know?
Anything he draws is ridiculous, okay, first of all. It's just all of it is.
By the way, my twins.
You wailed up on my Christmas card in 1996.
He's done everything for us.
That's Nick right there. You see him right there? That looks just like him, too.
I mean,
still,
any kind of any anniversary, any birthday, he does the champagne bottle labels for us. Weddings, I mean,
I had to throw the champagne out from the fifth
anniversary.
Yeah.
I mean,
it was really, and it was some $2.99 that he picked up.
Oh, of course.
So, Mars, the neighborhood part of this, and I had the Emerald Tavern on this thing, and you set up, because she and I know each other from the Emerald Tavern from 30 years ago when the Oilers, and by the way, I wore my Oilers sweatshirt for you today.
The Oilers jersey.
I wore my Oilers.
My favorite running back.
Earl? Oh, yeah, of course, right?
He's the best.
So I see Emerald Tavern here, and there's all of this connection, and then somehow yesterday I said to Ricig, where's Nick the Greek? Find him. And the next thing you know, you're here, and I had no idea that you were first off, a movie star. Secondly, what a natural you are doing radio.
He is.
But you used to come in. Now, you know each other from the neighborhood, right?
Yes. We used to come in here with our families when the kids were 4 and 5 years old, okay? They had 2 or 3 pool tables. And we would come in here, spend Friday night basically, with the kids it was till about 9:30. But to us, it was a Friday night out where we could go out and we had these
That's all the later we are here.
Fantastic.
And walk home.
Fantastic crab cakes.
Right.
You know.
Nobody knew about them.
I don't want to say prices or any of that, but very family friendly, I'll put it, because we would come almost every Friday, and especially during Lent, because we couldn't eat, people couldn't eat meat. Right? Catholics can't eat meat on Friday during Lent.
But you're Greek.
I'm Greek, unorthodox. Okay.
Oh, okay.
So I can kind of do what I want.
God.
Well, somebody said
my church, no dues, no pews, no views.
It's a church of the poison mind. It sounds like to me.
That's me, Greek unorthodox.
Somebody said
he's up there. I believe it.
Koco's, they've been over there forever, and I'm like, since 1985, and I only know that because it's on my shirt when I wear my shirt on the air.
It was a neighborhood dive. I mean, it was the original Guy Fieri, dive bar. I mean, this was it. It was,
Do you remember, when it became Koco? Because you guys lived in the neighborhood, right? So you're like, the little bar up there's changing names, and then nice lady bought it, and right, it's your mom, right?
Her dad, he's Greek.
Yeah.
Okay. Koco.
Sure. All right.
What's the last name?
Koco Vinos.
Yeah, okay.
Koco Vinos.
I didn't pronounce that wrong.
No, you did not.
I didn't Syriapolis that.
So I'm up here.
It's a new word now.
I pronounced it like I'm from Dundalk.
I didn't Syriapolis that.
So being Greek, I'm up here yakking Greek to him, right? And we're I said, why don't you throw an advertisement at the church down the street, or for Christ's sake, all these Catholics, this and that. He goes, that's a good idea. Boom, history, done.
Yep.
So you were one of the first ones to really eat the crab cake here because you lived in the neighborhood.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. We were all part of it.
See, I knew this was going to be great, and then
now we have to do carry out because it's so popular.
Are you part of the Zeke's Mafia?
He's trying to have room for a little.
She gave us these great hats, so he's really giving us.
Are you part of the Zeke's Mafia? That Friday morning coffee thing you do? You're part of that, right?
No, I went, but I was too late.
I got to keep you on mic, man. You're terrible.
We have been encouraging them to come.
So you've been encouraging me to come, and I haven't come. And finally, I said to Ricig, well, why don't you invite the Zeke's guy by? I remember years ago, they used to come make coffee for me when we did our road trips. They would literally set up coffee for 300 people because we had 5 busloads of people going, right? And I don't know that I ever had him on the air because I wasn't really doing radio at that time.
He's a great
I
sports
wasn't on the radio radio for like 8 or 9 years. From like 05, 06, I retired. So I wasn't like during that era, like sitting in the studio knowing all of our clients and doing all that. And I reached to him yesterday through you. He's like, yeah, I'll be there. I'm like, now you know Marcella, right? He's like, they serve our coffee. And I'm like, of course they're powered by Zeke's. I've seen that too. So I walk in today and you're holding the Zeke's coffee thing. And I'm like, hey, Mars, Thomas from Zeke's is coming. And you're like, yeah, I know. And I'm like, this is like a real holiday show. This is going to be good stuff.
One big family here on East
She has been singing Christmas songs like the minute I walked in. Like, your poor employees are going to listen to you sing for the next 3 weeks,
I know,
right?
they hate it.
I don't hate it yet, but I'm leaving at 5. I'm going to be out of here a little later on. Marcella's here. Nick the Greek. Never Siropoulos.
There it is.
Siropoulos.
Took me 40 years to learn how to pronounce your name.
Not a problem.
You didn't Syriopolis that. That's like
Well, you're famous
you
for
didn't
your
Cundiff a
mustache.
kick.
We
Like
always
that
do.
became an actual
wife
verb.
never
That's a
did.
verb.
Mustache.
Never did.
Yeah.
Well,
You
your
can never
background
change
with
that.
me is that I went on the air in 1991. By 94, 95, I was kind of a thing. Then the Ravens came. Then the station came in 98. But I knew you long before that. But you were like Nick the Greek, a caller. You would call in and talk Orioles, talk Ravens before there was even Ravens. I think you called me before 96.
Yeah.
And
Stallions.
And then I got the station, out in Towson, and you would bring my crew donuts every morning in a newspaper, and like they would throw you on the air. Yeah, like you sold donuts, right?
So they would deliver 10 dozen donuts, a dozen bagels, and a dozen muffins to my house every day. So we would make deliveries during the night. We'd cook all the donuts and all. It's Montgomery Donut Company is what it was.
Okay.
Wow.
Outside of D.C., okay? So they needed a guy to handle the Baltimore area, and I went and got the job, and I was handling the Baltimore area. Anyway, I would have these donuts left over, because how many donuts, I would see people, but I would leave early in the morning. So before I would leave, I'd say, let me call you guys while I'm on the road.
He would leave donuts, and listeners would like drive up and walk into the house and have donuts because, like Swami and Spirit, like we got 36 donuts here, and there's 3 of us.
It got to the point at the end of the day, I would have donuts left over, so I'd drive around to the different houses of my friends and leave donuts.
We used to get donuts too from Nick.
And wives began to call me and said, "Hey Nick, we love the donuts, but you got to stop, okay? Because we're getting a little too plump."
Yeah,
here.
once a month is good on the donuts.
It happened to me.
This is what happened with the station, and this is God's honest truth, because you were still a part of Koco's then. If I would have come to you and said, Mars, sponsor WNST and send food over on whatever Friday, and we'll eat your food, because we didn't have the internet, we couldn't show the food, right?
No.
I mean, that's the thing about the old advertising I had about this was all we had, right?
I remember those things.
Yeah.
And wooden nickels, you remember wooden nickels?
All of that, right?
Yeah.
So when I would talk to a restaurant, especially like a chain would come to town, like Hooters. When Hooters came to Towson, they would call, and they knew I was the big shot sports radio entrepreneur, and they would call, and they would be like, we're going to send some food over.
Right.
They thought we were like a real radio station. They thought we were like WKRP.
Right.
They would send trays of food over. And there were like 6 of us, And if there were 8 people
all
in the
day,
building,
6
there was
all day.
All day. Maybe 8 all day. Maybe 10 if somebody stopped by or whatever. So you would bring all these donuts, and then next thing you know, Raven Jan's camped out in my lobby. You're serving donuts. And,
Well, good.
And then Zeke brings coffee into this equation. But like the food part of this, and I have Dara here. We're going to talk about, but food brings people together. I mean, I think of you and donuts and like how much fun we've had, and even Ricig. Now that the documentary is legit and everybody's watching it, Marcella hasn't watched it yet, because if she watched it, she'd know the story about how your kids named you Nasty Nestor.
I know that story.
But I've told you, right? It's in the documentary now, and people are watching it. I share it, put it out on front. You probably have. It's 30 minutes long, but it's my the story of how all this happened, right? And everyone that sees it, it's fine. It's everybody's homework.
I'm going.
It's your homework, too. Everybody out there, it's your homework. For Christmas, you want to do something nice for me, watch my documentary. So you'll know more about me, so you don't come up with crazy questions or wonder how. It explains it all, right? It explains Baltimore Positive, explains my wife, explains everything. But the thing about Nasty Nestor and carrying that with me for 30 years is that people will come up to me now and having seen the documentary, and they're like, I didn't know it was for 6 kids. I thought it was like a neighborhood nickname. I thought it was because you ran numbers. I thought, an ex-girlfriend called you that.
That's what I always thought.
Right. You thought that
because you were nasty.
Right.
See that? See that?
Nothing to do with it. Yeah.
And it turns out I was barbecuing with your kids.
Right.
That's it. You were babysitting. my kids.
Babysitting. But I was the
Which is
barbecue that went bad.
Funny enough in and of itself that he was actually babysitting my kids. So, yeah.
That's scary.
Yes.
Well, a lot of
it's
people
natural.
voted for a guy for president. They could not trust to babysit their kids.
That's
it was
true.
a natural.
It makes me qualified. So, I mean,
Can I
I
just
did
say
a good job. They turned out all right.
I don't want to say anything
They're
political, but I just want to say I appreciate that I live in this neighborhood, which is an artsy neighborhood
Yes.
and a fairly liberal neighborhood.
Good.
Again, I don't want to get into politics. In a blue city, in a blue state, and I have relatives that are like-minded that live in tougher states to live in these times. So I love Baltimore for all those things, and I love this neighborhood for all those things too.
Yeah,
and
I do
again,
too.
I'm not demeaning any other politics. I'm just saying from my
I
own
love this
self.
neighborhood because it
I-
probably
yeah.
voted 98.4%.
I think we kind of have a unique.
This is a
old
beautiful
school-
place. I
oh,
mean,
unique,
Yeah.
when I
old
talk about
school-
Baltimore positive,
I mean-
there's nothing more Baltimore positive than me and her meeting 30 years ago me and you meeting 40 years ago,
Nestor,
me and you meeting at the
proof-
paper, and we're all still sitting here, and you're living in a neighborhood, and this place has become legendary.
It's legendary.
Well,
Like-
not only that, the proof really is in the children, because we've got kids. One of them's working here. We got kids that have bought back into the neighborhood. Okay?
Yes, right.
They've come back. How
You
many-
sat at the bar, and Baz is like, "Hey, Mr. Nick, how are
Yeah.
you?" And like, I'm like, "Oh,
Right.
you're from Mayfield." That's right. They
Right.
told
He's a
me that.
Mayfield.
Exactly. I
He's
mean,
a
it's-
Mayfieldian.
So
Yeah.
it's still. I'm proud to say it's still a place where you can let your kids run. Kind of. The way times are now, you kind of let them run. You don't have to worry too much because there are other parents that are around.
People
that
talk
their
so
kids
much
are involved.
nonsense about our city. And every time I park the
Well,
car here and I
it
come
is
in,
and
every
it
time I
isn't,
drive down Perry, but I'm thinking like, we've always had problems. We've always had, but this spotlight on the bad parts instead of like just how freaking awesome this city is.
Well,
And today
we're
I'm
really-
here, and tomorrow I'm over at Gertrude's at the BMA with my
Nice.
cousin John Shields. Dan Roderick's is doing his show
There's a-
that I invited you last year, but you couldn't do it because it was on a Friday night in the middle of December, right? But I had you and all of my friends over to the BMA last year
Oh,
to see Dan
fantastic
Roderick's show.
night.
That is an absolute
Must. It's a
celebration
must. It's
of
a
our
must.
city.
Well, it's-
If you love our city and you're not
Baltimore-
seeing Dan's show over at the BMA, you're just really missing out. It's
absolutely.
really your loss. I'll say that.
Yeah.
Baltimore is a neighborhood town. It's all the neighborhoods make the town of Baltimore. Now, some of the neighborhoods have dispersed and fallen away, and the Catholic churches,
And some others have
They've
come
lost-
on, like
and
Lauraville,
others are
right?
coming.
Like
Things are
literally.
coming back. Things are coming back up here on Hartford Road and all. It's a lot better now.
They're
than
trying
what
to
it
talk me
was.
into this Italian place
This
up
and
the
that,
street.
I
I
mean,
heard
we,
it's pretty
the
good.
city.
I have not been.
We got to go together then.
Camp-
That's what we got to do.
Campley, right?
Yeah, what's that?
Campley?
Yeah,
Cafe
yeah,
Campley,
Yeah,
Campley.
Campley. That's a
Yeah.
great,
Yeah.
really
See?
good,
I've heard
really
great
good
things.
place. Yeah.
Well, I mean, everybody sticks together around here, which is why you guys get together on Friday
Right.
mornings, do your Zeke's coffee thing. Thomas is coming over. Derek gave me a corn pudding recipe. We give corn pudding people here. I'm on,
Oh,
straight
I
up. You're a corn
love-
pudding person.
Absolutely.
Never had
Nah,
it.
Ricig shake, Ricig's like.
I love
Now,
corn.
like, really important
Rice pudding,
question.
I
And
like
I'm-
rice
I'm-
pudding.
I guess
I'm going
one
to
of the
test
few.
your
I don't know.
Greekness and your
I love it.
Highlandtownness.
Okay.
Sauerkraut and kielbasa on Thanksgiving.
Kielbasa, absolutely.
Okay, all right. Making sure you got something.
yeah,
Making sure
yeah.
you're from the right side of Highlandtown.
yeah, yeah.
Well, I mean,
Absolutely.
these are the conversations we have around food, and I guess because I was at Wise Markets and I held up proudly my Ostrowski's kielbasa, and every Polish person from Western Pennsylvania has some Goluboski
Well,
up there
yeah,
that they
they
make
all
their
are.
own thing,
Right.
and they're like, not on mine,
Right.
and they hold the
They got their
Goluboski
own.
up or
Right.
whatever, and I'm like, look, I'm going with what I'm going with. The Ostrowski family's never paid me anything, and
Right.
other than love and the little delicious things that are in their food. But I started talking about it, and then this recipe pops up, and I saw the recipe for corn pudding, and I'm like, I sort of kind of like that. And my wife would never, we haven't thought about it, but she goes to the farmer's market every Sunday in the summer. Still, we live in the county, but she goes to the city, and we get the Bartenfelder Farm, plug for them, white corn, second week of August when it's just
Right.
Right.
perfect. And she'll come home with like $30 of corn, and just sit there and just shuck it all, freezes it all, shrink wraps it, and then we bust it out.
Perfect.
And usually we just butter it in salt and pepper, a little garlic,
Doesn't
And
need much.
That's a
I'm
good
Hispanic, so like I like elotes, so like I'm not a little mayonnaise with some seasoning in there, some chipotle stuff, whatever.
Doesn't need much,
so I can do it like that, but this corn pudding recipe happened, and I said to Jen, I copied and sent it over to her. I said, we should do this, and she did it. And of all the things on the plate, my wife took 5 days making a turkey, 2 days making cranberry, all this stuff. We're like, corn pudding. Is it thumbs up? So Thanksgiving 25? Is it coming back? Or is it going away?
What was the verdict?
Thumbs up! Thumbs up! So I hit there. I'm like, you got to come out. We got to talk corn pudding. And then I said to her, dumbass that I am. She's the food enthusiast. You ever been to Koco's? She's like, my favorite crab cake.
There you go.
And I'm like, well, then it's going to get her over here.
Well,
so,
they will spoil you.
Yes.
I mean, I will not eat anybody else's crab.
That's it. That's a loyalist, man. I'm
I'm
with
crab
you.
cakes for life. That's it
I
right
may,
there.
if I'm forced, I may a Pappas maybe,
Right.
or somebody, like a really fancy restaurant. Like, okay, but
How does it make you feel when I say that? It makes me feel bad because I've eaten a lot of other crab cakes.
mean,
They're all
and-
delicious.
and
I don't
I
want you to not try other
it's-
crab
and
cakes,
it's
but
definitely not outside of almost Baltimore, but Maryland for sure. I will not.
oh, you don't do that.
Outside of Maryland,
I'm not getting
I
a
won't
crab
touch
cake in
it.
Tyson's Corner.
Won't
No way.
touch it.
No.
Will not
I also would like to add that my
But-
2 grandchildren had their first Koco's crab cake the day before Thanksgiving and wolfed it down. So 3.5 years old,
Nice.
loved it. Yeah.
Bringing them up the right
My,
way.
Yeah.
my
Yes.
wife, my wife she works for RCM&D.
Okay.
Okay, Ricig. Okay. She'll get
Yeah, she's doing a lot of
5
shipping.
dozen crab cakes.
Oh,
5
man.
dozen.
How many do you have here?
I mean,
like,
or whatever.
I saw
I don't
you
know.
put
I know
like
it's
the
many
trays,
dozen.
2 dozen, or how many is on a tray?
Each tray's a dozen.
A dozen.
Yes.
It just looks like 2 dozen because it's
It does.
friggin' huge.
I mean, they don't have enough
So,
room.
so
They
there's
really-
a dozen, and you have about 6 coolers here. So you can keep maybe 300 crab cakes, maybe?
Yeah, 300 to 400 inside, and then we also have a rack outside for like the holiday season when we're getting ready to do a lot
Right.
of shipping and a lot of pickup orders. People,
Because
will-
she's going to ship to Montana.
Yeah,
Robin's going to come
yeah.
and ship them to Montana.
Click away.
We're waiting for
Well,
her.
she's
Well,
got
that's
it.
why I came, and
She
that's why I'm
went to
kicking off
Mercy-
with you.
Went
So
to
for-
Mercy. She's got a Mercy
Oh,
classmate that lives in Montana.
You know, for
What-
all of
what
our
am I gonna
local
do
sponsors
for a Christmas present? I
Right.
said,
who
how about a
ship
freaking
crab
crab
cakes.
cake?
Right.
This is, I mean, Thanksgiving,
Hello?
Christmas Eve, New Year's, or just, hey, I love you, and it's, you know,
This is the perfect.
you know,
for anybody.
get them in January when
Now-
you're really hungry for them. You know what I mean?
Now, Nestor, I call Baltimoreans the ones that leave Baltimore.
Okay.
They're the Baltimoreans. So all the Baltimoreans that are out there, if you want a perfect Christmas present, it's a
There you
Koco
go.
crab cake.
I like
There
it.
you go.
I'm sorry.
That's why he's Santa Claus, too. Not only is he, like,
Well, don't too loud. I
dressed
tell- I
like
tell-
Santa,
Hey, you
but
don't
he
Tell the
be
kids
pitches.
that I'm the
Saturday.
elf.
He pitches
don't
like
know.
Santa.
When's
breakfast
it cut
with
off?
Santa.
When, I mean,
You don't have one?
if people are thinking about crab cakes,
We
because
do, but-
so much of this is, and I know all of you who ship them, it's a science. It involves shipping. It's the
Oh, it's-
holidays. Santa's got to come down the chimney with them and do all that
Right.
stuff.
All of it.
When do people need to order them by? You know,
there you
to
go.
to
We
get it
are
right.
already taking orders. We are.
When's the last date?
The last day that we're shipping is the 17th of December.
Oh, wow.
You got to
Okay.
get on it.
Yeah,
Coming
but
up.
go
Get on it
early,
now.
dude.
The
Get on it
earlier
early.
the better.
But the thing about
We
shipping crab
already-
cakes, and I just want to say this to everybody who does it, because it's so important. I'll give you a sad story. I did the Super Bowl 5-6 years, it was longer than that, and I did a segment with one of these groups that sends food. They do the overnight, whatever do they call that, the food service that comes in a
Whatever.
box or whatever.
Right.
And I promoted them, and they were Super Bowl, and they were nice to me, and I gave them my card. They went and shipped me a meal.
Nice.
You know when I found it? 6 weeks later.
Yes.
Because they shipped it to the station when there was nobody there.
Right.
This is during, 18, 19, 20, when
Yeah.
my wife was battling probably. And I went out there, and I swear to they shipped salmon. I'm not kidding you.
And
Yeah.
not the kind in a
Man.
foil
Yeah,
package.
yeah. This was like, and they're like, oh, you didn't get the email? No. You're like, if you're gonna ship me fish, thank you. I will
Right.
eat. I love
Right.
salmon. I love
Right.
crab cakes.
Right.
But if you're
Right.
shipping these crab cakes to people, I surprised you. Don't surprise people. That's why I'm bringing this up, because I don't want to have a tragedy.
Yeah, you definitely don't want the porch pirate getting that one.
Right.
Yeah. So tell people they're coming,
yes,
right?
you definitely need to make sure people are going to be home to
And you give them a tracking number, like it's like when I buy stuff on eBay.
Yes, absolutely.
All right, good. All right.
It's
top notch.
Come a long way since we started about 15 years ago.
Well, I know how happy people are when they get them, you know?
It was a dive bar before, okay, and Marcy came on, and they you can see what happened. I mean, they've turned.
I wore my flowered shirt today because I wanted to feel like I fit in.
Now an institution. I mean, now that it was an institution.
I'm glad I invited you, Nick.
To us, but it's an institution. I mean, people,
it is. Of course, it is.
People from, I would say, all over the world. I mean, people from all over know this crab cake. I mean,
beautiful. And we always
he's doing the new
to
commercial. He's going to do the new commercial.
I need like a separate room.
Yeah, but see, I would rather do the carryout so somebody that has never come here can experience it. Okay?
And I'm glad that
because there's nothing like a crab cake on a paper plate. I mean, come on.
So I did this. Last time I saw you, last time I was in here was about 5 weeks. It was my birthday weekend. I did my show down at Pizza John's. And my buddy surprised me from Arkansas. One of my best friends, John Keller, Hells. You've met Hells before. Hells surprised me, and his wife, they're like, first off, we're supporting all your sponsors. So we're going to State Fair for crab, but we're going to Koco's tonight for a crab cake. And I'm like sitting there eating pizza. And Pizza John's has crab cake, and they're like, and I'm like, I ate all this food, and I'm like, Mars, got a table for 6. I'm coming over, So 6 o'clock, we sat right here at the table Dara's at, and we had the most beautiful meal. It's because when they came from Arkansas for 2.5 days, and they had a girlfriend that they wanted to introduce to crab cakes, this is where they wanted to come.
Right.
So there you have it.
You know Chip, right?
Yeah,
from Connecticut. My friend from Connecticut, who's an Orioles fan from the 60s, okay? He's such an Orioles fan, he's got Rochester Red Wing baseball cards.
Nice.
Okay. So that's how far back. Anyway, I went to college with all his buddies at Loyola. They get home, this and that. And he comes home. He would come down every summer to catch an Oriole game. He and his brother Al. They would come down every summer. They said, "Why don't you get in touch with Nick the Greek down there?" Got in touch with me for 40 years now. Chip comes every summer. We host them, this and that, blah blah blah, whatever. He had press credentials because he was a reporter from one of the Connecticut.
A real
newspaper.
reporter,
yeah,
not like me.
Well, I went to the '83.
Like
went to the '83 World Series with him. Okay, so whatever.
And this is his joint.
This is his joint.
So when he comes to Baltimore, he eats nothing but their crab cake and orders 2. No, nothing else. No fries.
She's going to send me home with one today.
None of it.
And she thinks, I'll send him home one. He'll have a little dinner. I cut it into 3. I'll have some, have like a third tonight.
I split it with Terry.
You know,
huge.
Yeah, you can.
And I have a little Osterizer, and I get it right.
If you have that kind of
I try not to drop them on the floor.
But if you can only get them once in a while, you want to get as much
I
as you can.
don't have that kind of willpower.
Last year, she sent me out of here with, she doesn't like talk about the little crab cakes, but the little crab cakes.
Stop it.
So she said
they're going to grow. Don't worry about it.
Right.
Put them under the light. Is because it's twice as or 3 times as much work for us
to make them
smaller. Yeah.
For whatever
That's why
reason,
we sell them uncooked big.
You take them home. I think you're catering to something.
Have fun.
She said, "I have a couple little ones. I'm going to give them to you right on the way out of here." And I'm like, "Okay, I'll take them home." So I went home and I took it out and put it in the Oster. And instead of a spatula, Dara's going to be real upset when she hears this. I used the tongs on it.
Oh.
Fell apart.
You got to use tongs and a spatula. You hold it.
I
with
looked down and I'm like, I'm glad it was a 4 ounce.
That's why they're.
I'm glad it wasn't an 11
That's why they're
ounce.
the top of the heap. There's no filler.
I mean, this is a tragedy. I'm in my house. I mean,
I don't know the recipe. I would think other than maybe a little bit of maybe a little egg, maybe just to hold it together.
All right, Mars, I got to have you talk about Santa, and then I want to do 2 minutes of football, and then I'm going to get the corn pudding with Dara, and then we're going to get the coffee. I'm going to bring you back on for coffee. Ricig's going to be here. Santa, I thought you've been doing this for 100 years. It turns out this is like a new thing. All right.
3rd year, Breakfast with Santa. It's It's this coming Saturday, December 7th. We have a 9 a.m. seating and 11 a.m. seating. Santa will be here. We have gifts for the kids. We have an incredible menu. Really nice cocktails. It's not just for kids. Everybody's
Big
welcome.
boy eggnog.
Yes, big boy eggnog.
Right.
And it looks like a winter wonderland in here. It is truly beautiful.
You gonna make it snow up in here?
You know, we
You
haven't
never
done
know.
that yet, but we could try.
I don't know, man. You get all that moisture going in here. We don't need all that. We had the
You get
heating
some
problems in the
confetti.
summer.
Very fun.
We had the air conditioning problems in the summer. We don't need the heating problems in the winter.
Turn it into a snow globe.
Right.
That would be
Mars is here. We're at Koco's Pub. It's an institution. It's on Harford Road. It's in Lauraville. Google it, Koco. Ricig is here. He is my co-host with a K because he lives up the street. Nick Siropoulos is here.
Yes.
Now I know how to pronounce your last name. I'll never call you Siriopoulos again. Nick the Greek.
There we go.
Nick of Donuts.
There it is.
Nick of Mayfield.
Yeah, whatever.
Nick of
I
Loyola.
never knew that about the donuts.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah,
So
and he
cool.
was pretzel boy. He
was
he
in-
was a pretzel vendor
That
on,
was in
on Homicide.
Yeah, that was
Wow.
Homicide.
So we used to call him Pretzel Boy for a while
I
too.
did
yeah.
four
I
homicides.
Yeah.
knew you were in something.
I did 4 homicides
know
and
that.
3.
He's the
of
king
the
of
other
media.
one.
Well,
What was it?
I mean,
Wired. I did 3 Wired.
I told him
Wow.
earlier you weren't here, but you missed my
love The
punchline.
Wire.
I said,
That's a good one.
when you come to Beverly Hills, you expect to meet stars. You know, you
Right.
expect to meet movie stars. So
There you go.
No, I mean it was.
We have our own Nick the Greek.
I love
Pat
you, Nick.
It was Pat Moran. I mean, she's John Waters' casting director. Pat Moran. She lives in town, and they did a cattle call thing, and I showed up. And
He's got
she's
that
like,
face. Look at that
know.
face.
well, if you're looking to do anything Baltimore-oriented, he says the most important word properly. He says, "Home,
Him
home,
and water.
home, and water." Nick the Greek, Ricig's going to hang around. Mars is here. Dara's going to come by. We're going to talk about
didn't do
food
the
enthusiasm.
holidays.
Yeah,
We
you
didn't
got
do the
to.
events
I thought we were gonna have
Let's
two.
do the events. Candy
Okay.
cane crawl. Let's
Events.
go.
There we go.
So Holidays on Harford is this holiday season, and they're doing a lot of activities. One that's happening on Saturday, in addition to what we're doing here with Breakfast with Santa, from 4 to 7 p.m. We are doing a event up at the lot across from Safeway, and they're going to have all kinds of food vendors and
Nice.
things for kids. We're going to be there giving away hot chocolate and doing some s'mores for the kids. It's going to be a really good event. They did a great job advertising this year. The marketing tools.
Those
were
are real little
amazing.
snowmen there. Look at that
Yeah.
little penguin, the whole thing.
So yeah, we're trying to make the neighborhood come together. and do a lot of-
HolidaysOnHarford.com.
It's growing. It's growing.
HolidaysOnHarford.com. So my big ask and inclusion in this, and somebody's going to know what I'm talking, because Ricig looked at me like 3 heads. I think Lauraville is ripe for a Roper romp, is what I
Okay.
think. I think we need a Roper romp.
Roper.
Yeah, whatever.
No, it's it.
Google it.
Marcy didn't know who it was
I-
either.
I don't know.
Do you remember
That is-
Mrs. Roper?
I know
I
Mrs.
do.
Roper.
She wore
That's exactly
Audra
what went to
Lindley.
my
She
head
wore right. She wore
was Mr. Roper.
right.
That went to my head when you
Right.
wore the
Roper.
house
This is
coat.
Mrs.
But then I
Roper.
started thinking
She wore
like
the house
jump rope.
coat.
Or you
She
She
talking
wore
jump
the
rope?
house coat. So a Roper romp.
Moo our
Right.
mother's
It's
all.
a
Right,
moo
right,
It's a
right.
moo
I mean,
It's a legit
Highlandtown, they
moo-moo.
all lived in it.
Thank you.
It was the funniest thing. You have these women wearing these moo-moos, and their hair's up in the air. Like,
Well,
you know.
imagine if it's a guy like this with hair up in his hair wearing a moo
Oh, I wanna do
and
it.
have an
That's
eggnog.
I
That's
totally
now.
wanna do
Take
it.
it easy.
I want to do
What's
it.
a Roper romp?
That's
Everyone
it.
Wears,
It's something
Everybody
you
dresses-
should host.
Dressed like
Okay.
Mrs. Roper.
Mrs. Roper, yeah.
Who
All
thinks we
right.
should have a Roper romp here at Koco's?
kind of like the Hun Fest.
Not
right?
one hand.
It is. It is,
Almost, yeah.
but it involves romping and drinks.
Romping.
Okay.
Okay.
You have a bar here.
Absolutely.
we do.
I heard you like the gin. It's just the tonic you don't
It's
like.
the tonic.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Great.
What about our 2 minutes?
Oh,
of yours?
it'll
Like,
make you
did you
sick.
finish all your stuff?
Oh, did you get
If you
everything
have
in?
good
Did you get 'em all?
tonic,
I get it all in.
It's not so bad. You got to have the tonic in the little bottles.
Can you imagine if I did this show on drugs or alcohol? Oh my
No.
God, I've lost control. Dara came over
Oh,
to talk
candy
about
cane
corn
crawl,
pudding
but
and eat
that's later
shrimp, and she's been subjected to Roper romps. Ricig is here. He's going to stay. Marcia's going to hang around because she's making crab cakes and shipping them. Nick's got like grandkids.
The
Grandkids?
girls. Isla and
You should
Lucy.
come back and host radio with me more often.
Oh, Nick,
Well, I
you got to
mean-
do it. You're
Yeah.
You're a
You're
natural.
natural.
You're
You really
natural.
are.
You're
Whatever.
Really good.
There's nothing more positive than I'm going to have
Ricig
you
comes
do the
every
new
time
liners.
we do it here. So
And
now-
I'm not a
now you have
wrestler,
to
so,
sign
you
up
know.
for that.
I want you to say you're him for
Him.
Baltimore Positive.
Him.
For Baltimore Positive.
Him for Baltimore.
You didn't-
Him for
You didn't
Baltimore.
ask him his 1 minute worth of football. You got to get. You got to
Okay,
get.
football. We're gonna do some football.
2 minutes of football
time
before
is
we
it?
go.
Justin Tucker, yes or no?
Of course, stay with
you got-
Justin.
you
Yeah,
have to,
That's it.
yes.
Stay with Justin. You
okay.
can't do it. You got
Who
to.
are you gonna get?
Who are you going to get? No legendary kicker has ever been off like that. That's not going to happen. He'll get it
I'm
together.
going to volunteer myself to Royal Farms, my 27-year sponsor, to be their new spokesperson.
There you go.
To be the guy.
Help him out.
That might help him out,
You know
yeah.
the commercial where he's like doing the psychologist?
Yes.
Make me the psychologist.
Yeah, put him in
and
the chair.
put him in a helmet, and we'll talk about things, and I'll help him out.
Someone said the kickoffs. Like if you take away the kickoffs from him, maybe he can kind of do better with the field goals. I don't know.
Why
know.
did you turn my
This is
mic
why
up
I
so
stopped
loud?
taking for-
You keep screaming.
Oh, gee, what did I do? I turned your mic up? What did I do?
Ooh.
I didn't turn your
sitting
because I
here
can't
like,
hear
I'm
you.
gonna
You know,
need some
man,
advice.
your
I'll
head
turn
would
you down.
explode.
I don't know whether you're on 4 or 1. I've lost control of the show. All right, can I
and
be
the
done now?
The punter.
Can I be done?
He does
You
that.
can be done.
That's what he does.
That's
Can
what
I
he
go
does,
talk
yeah.
about corn pudding? I've
Absolutely.
invited Dara out.
I want to
You
hear
need
about
your
corn
guest.
pudding.
You
I
need
want
your
coconut
guest.
shrimp.
We're
I've
gonna-
never had corn pudding.
He's gonna break.
She's
and
never
bring
had
her.
coconut shrimp here, so we're gonna do it. Did I get everything in? You guys are.
Oh yeah.
They're still
Oh,
winning the
yeah.
Super Bowl, right? Oh, okay. That's where we stop the show. I'm Nestor. We're back for more
don't forget
Baltimore
about these
Positive.
guys. All right.
Put that Bills hat away, Ricig.
If Lamar.